Am I the asshole for not wanting my strict parents near my daughter? I, 35, was raised by very strict, almost abusive parents. They'd yell at me for the smallest stuff, and sometimes even for stuff I didn't even do, simply 'cause they were angry. They didn't beat me, but just the yelling was enough to fuck up with my mental health. Their behavior really gave me a lot of problems. As I grew up, I felt the need to be the one to break this cycle of abuse. I promised myself that if I ever had children, I'd make sure to raise them differently, not wanting them to keep the cycle going. Years later, I had a daughter, F8. When she was born, I kept my promise. I raised her with the respect and care I wish I received from my parents, and thankfully my husband always supported me. I always made sure she felt safe to tell me anything. She's very polite and well-behaved, and I can clearly see that it isn't out of fear, like it used to be with me. It makes me so happy and proud to see that I really managed to break the cycle. My husband works all day, so when my daughter isn't at school and I have somewhere to go, I leave her with my parents. Ever since she was born, I always made it clear that I didn't want them to treat her like they used to treat me. They seemed to understand and to be willing to change, so I decided to give them a chance. 3 days ago, my daughter spent the afternoon with them while I went to a medical appointment. When I came back to pick her up, what I saw made me flinch. My mom, F63, was yelling at her, for no reason at all. She was extremely quiet the whole time my mom yelled, like I used to do. I didn't say anything, just picked her up and left. When I entered the car with her, she started crying. I tried to comfort her before I started driving home and asked her what exactly happened. She said she loved her grandparents, but they'd often get angry and start being rude to her for no reason, even though she was always gentle with them. And to make it worse, I asked her why she had never told me about it, and she said my parents told her not to. They were basically doing to her exactly what they used to do to me. When we got home, I explained to my husband the whole situation, and he got just as angry as me. We decided to call my mom later, after I put my daughter to sleep. I asked her why she did exactly what I told her not to, and her answer was, again, exactly what she used to say to me. I just am like that. And then, the worst thing I ever heard her say, if I don't yell, she won't learn, that's just real life, so I made a decision. I said I didn't want her nor my dad near my daughter, at least until they started changing their behavior. She said I couldn't keep them from seeing her, but I said I was just trying to protect her from having her mental health fucked up by them like I had. Then I hung up. Part of me says I did the right thing, but I can't stop thinking that maybe I was too harsh. I was just trying to protect my daughter. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. They need to be out of her life. What are the grandparents' rights like where you live? Wow. Frankly, everyone sucks here, because that was something you should have made damn sure of before ever leaving your daughter alone with them. You leave your young daughter with your abusive parents on a regular basis and don't even check in to make sure she's being treated well. It sounds like you buried your head in the sand, and this is a decision that should have been made a long time ago. The parents for obvious reasons, and you for. I said I didn't want her nor my dad near my daughter, at least until they started changing their behavior. Why would you ever consider allowing your daughter to be in the same room as these people under any circumstances? How much more harm do you want to let them cause her? They aren't almost abusive. They are abusive, and the fact that they told her not to say anything to you means that they are knowingly abusive. Everyone sucks here. You're one for giving her a chance unsupervised. Your mom is one being abusive to children. How dare you send her to the people who abused you? Personality is stable throughout lifespan. What on earth made you believe otherwise? You are the asshole. Abusive people don't stop being abusive because you asked them nicely to not be. You have been incredibly naive to think this wasn't happening all over again. Did you not ask your kid how things were going? If I had left my child with parents like this, I would be asking about their behavior every single time she came home until I was confident they had behaved, except I would never have left her with them because, they are abusive. Not the asshole. Ice them out of your life. The fact that they even coerced your daughter not to say anything is a gigantic red flag. For your daughter's sake and yours, get the hell away from them. Not the asshole. Good for you. I fucking hate the, you won't listen if I don't yell at you, bullshit. I've heard it from too many abusive people in my life. Everyone sucks here. You knew what your parents were like when you decided to have them watch your child. Honestly, I don't mean to be rude, but shame on you. Clearly you are not the asshole. But I am having a very hard time with a few parts of this story. Their behavior was bad enough that you had serious discussions with them and your husband. Yet you allowed your child to be with them and you just assumed they would behave. And then when you say your mother yelling at your daughter, you said and did nothing. WTH, I hope you are very disappointed in yourself and find yourself another free babysitter. Not the asshole. If you don't do this, they won't learn. That's just real life. You are the asshole. How dare you leave your child with your parents? And you didn't even discuss their abuse with your child before leaving them there? And we both know you are going to forgive and let them abuse your daughter again. I am shocked you let this happen. Yes, your parents are Oz. Everyone knew that. It was just assholes being assholes. You put your daughter into that situation with no preparation, no follow-up, nothing. Just what amounts to passive abuse that you knew about beforehand. Just wow. Not the asshole. Like emphatically you are not the asshole. Your parents did abuse you op. Not physically, but mental abuse is a thing. Do not minimize your trauma. That said, yeah, cut them the fuck out. I am horrified by the comments your mom made, but more so by the "don't tell your mother" shit. That's how abused children are taught. This is so concerning on like 10 levels. You did the right thing. YTA for leaving her with them to begin with. What reason did you have to think they'd be different with her? Did they ever apologize to you? Did they get therapy? This was a big lapse in judgment on your part. Consult a lawyer regarding grandparents' rights and seek therapy to deal with your past and learn how to set up better boundaries. Maybe sessions for your daughter, since this has clearly been going on for a while. Everyone sucks here since you have allowed them to damage her for 8 years. You know how they are, so you should never have allowed them to babysit to begin with. They also should not be treating others like that. If you want to even see them, only allow them around your child when you come. Be there 100% of the time supervising the visit. As in sitting in the same room with them while they visit and not even leaving the room to make lunch. Not the asshole. Anytime an adult abuses a child and then tells the child not to tell their parents about it, it is up to the parent to protect the child. Children cannot stand up for themselves, as you learned growing up. If you are more generous to your parents than I would be, you could have supervised visits only where your parents can see your daughter. But I would ask your daughter first if she would like that idea. If not, just tell her grandma and grandpa are on a timeout until their behavior improves. Good luck, and please don't doubt yourself. Protect your child, and be the parent you didn't have. Everyone sucks here for leaving your child with your abusive parents. You should have known this would bound to happen. People don't change that easily. YWBTA if you start trusting your parents again, they already went behind your back and manipulated your dog there. It would be nice to hope for a change in their attitude, but is it worth it to risk damaging your dog's mental health just like when you were a child? Stand firm and don't let them look after your dog there. Not the asshole for keeping her away from them. But YWBTA if you allowed her around them again unsupervised. They know what they are doing is wrong and convinced your daughter to cover it up. These are not people who are going to change. Protect her. Be who you needed growing up. Not the asshole. The piece about them telling your daughter not to tell you is particularly insidious. I wish my parent would have protected me from an abusive grandparent like that. You are once again showing your daughter she can trust you to protect her. I'm sure that took a lot of courage and wasn't easy. You're a great mom. If your daughter shows an interest in seeing them in the future, you can always do supervised visits. Short and sweet, where you guys just go out to lunch or stop by and say hi. But I think you're wise not to leave your daughter alone with them ever again. Grandchildren are a privilege, not a right, and they have lost their privilege. I'm sorry both you and your daughter had to go through all that. The only reason you might be in a hole is you trusted them that they had changed, and cared to listen to you. I'm sorry, but that was a foolish choice. Your parents are abusive, were, and you put your child in their care. That absolutely makes you the asshole. Did they ever prove to you that they had changed? Why did you trust them? Not the asshole. Your mom doesn't have enough emotional intelligence to understand that her yelling is abusive. Buy her the book, The Deepest Well, it should help her understand the damage she's doing. Not the asshole. I don't think you were being too harsh at all. I admire your commitment to your daughter, and hopefully this will show your parents you're serious about not wanting her treated the way you were. Gentle, you are the asshole simply because you won't sever contact with people who told you to your face were unwilling to change. But you're being an a-hole to yourself. I know this hurts that little kid inside you too. Not the asshole. I get it that they're your parents, but given your bad childhood, why did you ever left her with them? Sure, most grandparents are softer with grandkids, but this doesn't seem the case. You're doing good by keeping them away from your daughter. That's not a good environment for her and it's only going to hurt her. She doesn't deserve that. And neither did you. I hope things will get better. Not the asshole. My mother was emotionally and physically abusive. Fortunately, I live far away from her, so I rarely see her. The one time I took my kids to see her for an extended stay, she first expressed how impressed she was with how kind and well-behaved they were, then told me I needed to spank them more. And then she threatened to spank my daughter herself, because she got upset one day and decided not to play a game. I told her we would never speak again if she laid a hand on my children. If your parents can't respect you and your child, then they don't deserve a relationship. Your daughter isn't safe with them. I would suggest not leaving her alone with them. Not the asshole. You did the right thing. If you need further help, go to our relationship_advice. Not the asshole. You're protecting your daughter from abusive people. Good job for breaking the cycle in your own home. 2 things I would teach your daughter: that when an adult tells you to keep it a secret, that she needs to come talk to you guys. Second, if you're in the US, you may want to look up grandparent rights in your state. I've seen it in our justnormal where grandparents sued to see their grandkids. All the hugs. What further proof do you need? You know what they're like. They demonstrated they don't care about your wishes or observing your parenting style. Cut them off. Protect your daughter. Go low or no contact. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You did the right thing. Your daughter's right to grow up happy and without fear supersedes your parents' right to their granddaughter. I would also argue that your parents' behavior towards you wasn't almost abuse, but actual abuse. You gave them specific parameters and told them what would happen if they ignored those parameters. Now you're just following through with the consequences. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Not the asshole all the way. You did the right thing. Your daughter comes first. You absolutely can keep them from seeing her, especially when you feel your daughter's welfare and well-being is adversely affected. Being a grandparent isn't a right, it's a privilege. Not the asshole. The thing that bothers me is that Op didn't ever check with her child. She knows what her parents are like, yet exposed her child. She isn't wrong for stopping now, but she is for putting her kid in the situation in the first place. You are the asshole. Not the asshole. Your kid, your rules, good on you for breaking the cycle. Not the asshole. You're to be commended for remembering how it felt to be treated like that. So many parents end up mirroring their own parents' bad habits when they have their own children. Keep doing what you think is right. Not the asshole for this, but you are the asshole for putting your daughter into this situation in the first place. You were abused, which is not your fault, but you then put your daughter in a situation to be mistreated by your own abusers. It sounds like you thought they had changed, and I'm sure they did something to give you that impression, so I want to emphasize this is not entirely your fault, but now you know you should not have given them the benefit of the doubt. You absolutely can and should prevent them from seeing your daughter ever again if you feel it's warranted, or in controlled, chaperoned doses. I hope you and your daughter can both get therapy for how to deal with this. I'm so sorry for what you went through, and I know you can be strong enough to protect her too from now on. Not the asshole. You can file a restriction order if you want. I'm so sorry this happened. You are an amazing mom, so don't ever cave into your parents' wishes, they already proved to be bad people. Not the asshole. I really admire you for recognizing that your parents were abusive to you and breaking the cycle with your own daughter. However, it was naive of you to think that your abusers were capable or even willing to do the same. People like your parents don't think there's anything wrong with their behavior, therefore they will never change it. If you are truly committed to raising a healthy and happy child, you must not allow your parents to have unsupervised time with her anymore. Do not allow your parents to convince you that you're wrong, and do not trust them if they claim they will change. Your parents cannot be trusted here. Protect your kid as best you can, as your own parents failed to do. Good luck. You are the asshole for exposing your daughter to these people in the first place. Not the asshole. You didn't overreact at all, and I am glad your husband was on the same page as you. As the parent, it is your duty to protect your child, especially from abuse, even if it comes from family members. I hope you realize though that your parents were not almost abusive. They are abusive. Having your daughter lie to you is also manipulative, and it is unfair for your daughter to have that moral dilemma of obeying her grandparents by lying to her parents. With your conversation with your mom and your mom defending herself that that's how she is, I don't think you can count on them changing, and if that's the case, I would suggest looking for another childcare provider when you are not around and perhaps only allowing your daughter to be with them when you are also present. You know that you should have been checking in on your daughter like you wished someone would have checked in on you when you were dealing with abuse. You didn't break the abuse cycle, you just turned a blind eye to the cycle as it played out in your daughter's life. Break it now by keeping your child away from them and focus on the family you've created. Leave your parents in the past. I would say you're the asshole for leaving your kid with them all these years. What the heck did you expect? Not the asshole. I cut my parents out almost 3 years ago. For a long time, I thought I could protect my kids against my parents' darker side. I had to accept that I shouldn't have to protect them from family. I also realized they never loved me enough to treat me well. How can I expect them to do better with my kids? Cut them out. Make sure to document everything in case they threaten to sue for grandparents' rights. Not the asshole. You have to look out for your daughter. You gave your parents a chance, and they completely destroyed it and are not the least bit remorseful. Don't back down. You're a good mom. 100% not the asshole. You have shown a lot of thought to this, and you realized that your parents were hurting you and realized how. You strived to be a better parent, and when you found out your parents were hurting your child, you made a choice to protect your daughter from the same vocal abuse you suffered from your parents. To me, you did the right thing. Not the asshole. And please, never let them back unsupervised, at least, unless she is more mature and is able to see their telling ad their fault, and not hers, and that happens at least when someone is a teenager. Source: my grandmother was awful, and my mother only action was telling me that she was joking. I'm still dealing with the pain and the humiliation of my grandmother's behavior. Not the asshole. Don't let them make doubt yourself. You are protecting your daughter, not only from the yelling but from normalizing that people can ask her, as a small kid, to have secrets from her parents, which makes harder to detect abuse. You knew that your parents were abusive and the tactics they used, and you still let your daughter have unsupervised contact with them. You were naive to think that a bunch of apologies would change them. I suggest cutting contact with your parents for now, and if you decide to let them see your granddaughter in the future, it only be supervised contact where you or your husband are present. NTA at all. You're protecting your child from mental abuse that you endured. I know it may not mean much, but I am extremely proud that you stood up to them and protected your child. You're not being harsh at all. You're teaching your child that you are willing to stop toxic people from hurting them and that they don't have to endure that behavior from anyone. Good for you.